If we want assessment to be useful and informative for students, teachers and parents, it needs to be aligned.
So when we think about technology, most of us think of iPads and computers and interactive whiteboards.
That story is sort of telling that story of the river. I guess the dots, when you see dots like that, everyone incorporates dots differently.
As you remember, risk is just merely uncertainty. So we're just talking about foreign exchange uncertainty.
We record it at exactly that same value. That's the historical cost principle.
Those segments are statistics and probability, measurement and geometry, and number and algebra.
Now our next major actor in our story is our central bank. Now our central bank makes a couple of simple decisions, and that is it sets the policy interest rate.
Those financial assets are issued through the financial system, through to householders and individuals.
The decisions of the private sector don't always lead to the best collective outcomes. There is a role for government with fiscal policy, and there is a role for the central bank with monetary policy.
As a result, from a point of view in the rotating frame, the body appears to be deflected to the right of its motion. Absorption and re-emission of long-wave radiation takes place through all layers of the atmosphere and is an extremely complex process. Solar radiation powers the climate system. There are three fundamental ways to change the radiation balance of the Earth. First one, by changing the incoming solar radiation. For example, by changes in Earth orbit or in the Sun itself.
You'll notice that it's divided into subject areas, then syllabus stages. So we start with early stage 1, which is kindergarten, and so he believes that we have different people learning in different ways. In my experience, we all like to learn in different ways.
Some of the developmental considerations would be actually a lot focusing on the exploratory play and involving sensory motor exploration. Like we start here with the block area. As you can see, the blocks are of different sizes and different shapes.
We generally have 3 camps in the sandpit, a very active digging space, a more quieter sort of cooking place, and then a creative place.
The ratio of the length to the distance between the groins might be 1 to 4. On a beach, by contrast, where the sediment's much coarser, the ratio between the length of the groins to the distance between them might be more in the order of 1 to 2. Just looking out at this groin, what do you notice? What direction is the longshore current running? Is it from right to left or left to right? Where's the sediment accumulating and where is the sediment eroding? The problem of Collaroy-Narrabeen beach erosion stems back 100 or so years. So what happens during stormy conditions is that the surf waves actually erode a scarp in the sand dune. Macroalgae, often at the expense of slower growing species such as the seagrass. So here you see some of the macroalgae that would be stimulated by nitrogen and phosphorus addition to a system like this. This is the type of species that might actually start to overgrow and shade the seagrass. And so what this tends to do is send the sediment anoxia, so in other words, very low in oxygen or oxygen absent. And so this is actually the black coloration that you can see underneath some of this decomposing material.
1, 2, 3. Okay, well done. Now take a step with your left foot forward.
So we start across here, just that pressure there I talked to you about. Okay, and then as I come across here.
So hi Sarah, how are you today?
Feeling rather bored and frustrated, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah, okay, so tell me what's happening.
But it's like just having a sounding board, you know, just having someone to...
And of course a whole new era.
Whereas if they actually understand what they're doing and how that rule came about, they're less likely to make those mistakes.
Who's eaten snake before? You had a go at it? Didn't like it? No? Well, there you go, see, there you go.
It's about the only court of its kind almost in the whole world. Certainly in Australia it's a unique court.
Yeah, and I've been working with marine predators, so from whales, dolphins, sharks, seals, penguins.
Fears get better with time, and that's one thing I do notice, that as time goes on, even the most anxious of people, it dissipates.
So potentially blue carbon can be an enormous contributor to the climate change problem.
It's good to see that the language has been revitalised.
The big challenge, I believe, for managers is to get enough overlap in the minds of people.
Essentially, it is, it is what we do. I don't get into the weeds of individual company in that role. However, I also was, until recently, analysing the telco sector for JP Morgan.
It's a kind of delocalization of our industry, of our research centres.
And I think it would be not very fair to say we have achieved what we wanted.